fighting back and making a good series out of it. So let's kind of hope for the latter and see what happens. We start to the bottom right-hand side. Our red Terran player from Team Reciprocity, it's INnoVation. And at the top left, our blue Protoss, we have got Deer. So, TvP game number 1 of another fresh best of 5 here. We've got 2 PvZs coming up after this. Again, we're going to be casting Solo versus Stats and Sue versus Hero, 2 series which were again played yesterday that we didn't cast. There was no English stream, so we're going to be covering those as some additional content for you guys. So we'll be doing that after this INnoVation versus Deer series. We'll be getting right on into that, so hope you guys will enjoy. Very excited to see what happens then in this series, because I feel like the first game is going to tell us a lot about how well Deer is going to fight off INnoVation, because Kairos is already such a great map for being very aggressive on and so on. You know, it's a smaller map, it's a good pushing map, there's good tank positions. So very excited to see what's going to happen. So, the probe is going to get meleeed down by this SCV a little bit. Good amount of damage being done here to begin. Cybernetics core is coming down from Deer on the main base, so getting that set up. And we do have a command center dropping down from INnoVation in the natural, so getting this set up to roll. And yeah, going to be having the reactor about to finish up from INnoVation on the barracks, so pretty fast reactor, no Reaper at all. So he is going to bypass his potential scouting here to instead get out a lot of Marines very early. And that immediately says potentially, hey, look, I've got to have a lot of Marines. I might try and push you very early on. You know, I'm going to have more units than usual because, again, 50 gas. He's also going to have a faster factory, right? Well, that's not true, I guess, because he spent 50 gas on the reactor. But overall, in his build, he saves 50 gas. So he has 50 gas more to utilize a little bit later on. Depth coming down to the bottom right hand side to have a little bit of a look to see what's going on, but that's a bad shade straight into these Marines, which with Step will get the kill. Yeah, good play by INnoVation, bad play by Deer. That was very, I guess maybe he didn't actually see the Marines right away, but it was a very brave shade, and it was a bit of a gamble. And with the Marine count from INnoVation, I guess again at this stage usually the reactor would just be finishing. So it's Deer just not adapting to the fact that there's been no Reaper here. And so that Adept does get taken down. Now 2 Hellions on the way out. Barracks goes into a tech lab. No sign of the starport, although we do have 165 gas just sat in waiting. INnoVation has got the money to tech as he goes. We see Deer going into 2 more gates in the Robo. A little bit of dancing with this Stalker. And the War Prism. Oh my god. Sorry guys. Apparently I'm just allergic to War Prisms. That's why I can't ladder anymore. They just War Prism me all the time. It's not good for my health. War Prism on the way out from that Robo facility. As we do see the couple of Hellions around the top side. Marines pressing up as again. The Hellions going to dive on by. Sentry is going to force field the Hellions in here just a little bit. So Hellions going to be kept in, and Marines are going to be actually dealing quite a bit of damage here. Well, I guess if he can get that sentry as well, that'd be really nice. He's got 1 Marine left on it, and he does get it. Now 2 Hellions are going to run up into the main base. And obviously the Stalkers have to respond from the natural. A couple of Warpins as well. It's not more than, you know, a couple of probe kills, but it adds up, right? And I feel like not bad at all. 5 workers killed here in the end. With the fact he was able to kill a sentry also, I think it was an okay initial attack from INnoVation. Resources lost is pretty similar from this. I guess it does mean there's less Marines available for kind of a Marine tank push as a follow-up here. I really do think tank pushes are so strong on this map. I mean, we know about the rocks over here. This position here, very powerful too. Even if you get up to this high ground, you can then shoot down this gateway and this cyber core that are built to block the Reaper jump-up pathway. And all of a sudden, that's you know, that's a free gateway, right? That shuts down some of the production. Twilight counts on the Forge on the way up as Marines. Dealing some damage to the War Prism there. Stalker does hop up to the high ground. Tanks are able to push this away. mean, Dia trying to get aggressive, but just not really finding much opportunity. Model on the way up, forward to Twilight Council, getting set to go. And there's that +1 armor upgrade swinging away, so obviously you're going to be helping to benefit those zealots, which are generally trying to be the tanks of the Protoss army. I say trying, they do a very good job of it. There's no trying about it, actually. They are just very good at it. Some Stalkers will unload, and SCVs pushed away a little bit. Another SCV on the side here picked off. Marines in the tank going to come through, and they'll fight against those Stalkers, which will eventually lift up and get out up the right-hand side. Dia's clan tag, is that the same team name as Scarlet? Yes, Dia and Scarlet teammates on Newbie, one of the Chinese teams. A pretty strong performance in the China Team Championship as of late. We'll be excited to see how well they can do going into Season 2. Yeah, Dia, Time, and Scarlet, the three players who make up the team. They do very well for themselves. Marines there picking off the Observer up in the skies. Nice little shutdown as we do see the Side Storm from Dia on the way up in the main base. The +1 armor going to complete in a few moments as well. And again, the few Stalkers continue to dance around a little bit. Having an SCV on this bottom side is going to get shot down as well. Dia's been very annoying with this War Prism. While it's not been like overly great in terms of damage dealt, it's still there. It's still that presence on the map which INnoVation has to then respect. INnoVation doesn't seem to be getting too aggressive himself either, by the way. I mean, as Stim finishes combat shields on the way, he has shown no signs of pushing across the map, but maybe as he gets 1-1 he'll go for something like a bit of a push, because he does have a lot of tanks in play. Dia, however, does have High Templar with Storm available, so if INnoVation does push, that's the one thing he's going to have to be extremely cautious of in this. Storm very good against SCV pulls though, so if INnoVation was looking for an SCV pull, that's maybe not so potent now. It's much better against Colossus, where it really soaks up a lot of the Colossus attack time. Storms against SCVs, you just storm and the SCVs just die in like an instant, and then, you know, you basically just lose the SCVs for a storm or two, and yeah, I mean, soaking a storm or two is nice, but then the Protoss Grand Army still does very well beyond that. Unless you can, still, obviously, if you can dodge and split away from the storm still, but that's very difficult to do with SCVs, so. INnoVation again, a good amount of siege tanks. He did in the Team Liquid map contest tournament use a very powerful tank push against Zest on one of the larger maps. And again, with this map being so good for tanks, maybe that's his goal here. A bit of a later push going in. We'll see if he adds any more tanks. He adds on 2 more Liberators at the moment, as he'll also have to save up some gas for 2-2 upgrades, which he is heading for. The Armory on the way up. I mean, the thing is, INnoVation's going to be maxed out before 2-2 comes into play for himself. So he's going to be, you know, if he wants to push with a maxed out army, it's going to be before his 2-2. So we're really just looking at more of a macro-focused game here. The Liberators, obviously, then in that case, very good for holding positions down. Storm drop from Dia. Doesn't actually do that much good response from INnoVation. Only 3 SCVs lost. And the War Prism actually takes a lot of damage. And now, with a couple of storms already used up on this side, INnoVation's going to start pressing through the center. Tanks will siege. Very good split away from storm number 1. INnoVation straight back through the middle as well, though. Oh, he actually chases through that storm. The next storm, though, was also very good, so INnoVation does have to back off in the end. War Prism on the upper right-hand side. And still, you have a lot of the units in the center. You're going to see those tanks getting sieged up, and a lot of bio from Minnow looking around to see what he can do. A couple of Liberators over to the left-hand side as well. That storm not really quite connecting as INnoVation comes into the center. Again, Blink just about halfway done. The 2-2 upgrade still on the way up. And this army of DS spreading out to see what it can achieve. The Liberators turned away pretty much straight away. There's no Lib range here, so they're not super powerful in that regard, but sieging up on these Stalkers, it's actually going to be able to get a kill or two. And the Stalkers think twice about fighting that. You know, just straight up into a 4th base as well, so getting that established. And he does load up 2 medevacs to go around the map. He is just going to miss these Zealots over here, so Dia is actually going to run into a couple of units, so now that INnoVation does know about them. Maybe Dia saw this, because he is moving his army down the left. Is he looking to catch a couple of medevacs? I mean, it seems like it, right? Yeah, I'm not sure what it was that revealed this, but there's absolutely some information there for Dia. And those medevacs are just going to sit with the Liberators. They're going to be in a bit of a tough spot. There's a lot of army supply for INnoVation that's out on the map that isn't doing much then. Maybe Dia can take advantage of that as he comes over. SCV is going down, a little bit of harassment over here. This drop does actually get off despite the Stalkers that were set up. This Liberator helping out a lot, and the Stalker's just trying to kill the Liberator. Doesn't quite make it. Now the Bio's going to get an Immortal. It's turned into a very good fight, I think, for INnoVation, as he's actually going to do very well against the Zealots with the Liberator helping out. Main army still up this ramp, by the way, but how do you attack into this many siege tanks? The Stalker reinforcements here will finally clean this up, but a very good job from INnoVation. And again, those tanks pressing forwards. Dia absolutely just had to back away from this, so very good moment or two from INnoVation. A good fight across the map, a good defense here as well. As you can see again, Dia just threatening to come in. His tank siege, then unsiege. Again, that scan's very nice because it reveals exactly what Dia's doing for a little while. And these tanks still just looking to reposition. A couple of tank shots pushing the units away down there. Bio on the right side as well, kiting away from the Zealots. Even was swarping in as the Planetary Fortress is going to be able to help out a little bit. A few more units having to come over though, and is still afraid of this larger army here. Well, again, the tanks are so good in this situation. They're playing out very well defensively, as we see Planetary Fortress does indeed get picked off. So Dia's still struggling quite a bit at the moment, but Inno's not really been able to make a larger attack happen. Perhaps with the way that the expansions are set up, Dia expanding through the top side of the map rather than down the left kind of avoids a lot of the powerful positions that you'd look to utilize for tank play. It makes it a bit more awkward as now INnoVation is kind of getting caught a little bit off guard, it feels. He's got his army in the middle of two Protoss armies. And he's going to stim in and fight this army on the bottom side. First storm drops. That's going to be giving Dia some time to back away. Another few storms still coming down. Spire Force still trying to press forwards. Another storm connecting, picking up a few more Marines. And the siege tank as well, taking some damage now. Bio units fighting on the top side as well. And these guys really just fighting on all fronts. Dia's reinforcements coming in from the very top. He has two full energy temple there as well. He has a lot of storms actually getting away with this army, so it's nice that he has two more full high energy temple, because otherwise he might have been in some trouble actually. Pressing up, and again those tanks are going to get siege. Big storm on the tanks actually. All the storms are going down the tanks. The High Templar target fired. Well, there's still tanks alive, and that might be the problem here for Dia, because obviously there's a good amount of bio to support them. And with that support, is it going to be enough? Some ghosts showing up, another couple of tanks. Obviously the Immortals here are very good. He threw the EMPs down to help get rid of that Archon. The Immortals taking some damage too. The Medevac's going to go boosting away. INnoVation will have to pull all the way back down to the bottom right side, being chased by some Stalkers. That Archon, by the way, I can't believe INnoVation hasn't found a moment to target down that Archon, because it was absolutely, I mean, it's on 1 health. That Archon surviving is a crime. How Dia got away with that, I have no idea. Well, Dia's able to make it work in the center as INnoVation now starting to lose a few SCVs. Zealots pressing through those tanks. We'll see Jump Bio helping to push this back. +2 shield upgrades on the way as well for DS. He's really getting all those upgrades going. I mean, he's going to be on 3-3 with the shields as well soon. His upgrade is looking great. And INnoVation, I mean, he's starting to rebuild a bit, but now we're in that weird spot on Kairos where taking a 5th base is not super easily done. We have a Nexus in the top right-hand corner. We have a Nexus on the far left-hand side dropping down. Oh man, those High Templars storming the SCVs. Meanwhile, this army coming through, and a lot of Zealots taking quite a lot of damage. And +2 shield upgrades coming through, being chrono boosted. 4 more probes on the way out. The War Prism of Dia down the right hand side. 2 more tanks going to get sieged up. And Templar could have potentially thrown an EMP down on those mortals. And the Templar coming in again. Oh, a lot of SCV is going to get caught there. A lot of SCVs going down. That's very painful. And High Templar pressing forwards. So Ghost pressing forwards with the High Templar, keeping them at bay. INnoVation hunting for EMPs, but he's running out of steam. INnoVation. He's just losing so much here, so much there. With the SCV losses as well. He has maybe this one army to fight with, but even this one army isn't looking super amazing at the moment. INnoVation is struggling to max out. He's going to make a play towards the top side of the map, so up to the top he goes. He's going to find the Warp Prism 2 High Templar inside. Oh my god, he doesn't get the kill. Oh, that is such a shame. Those storms are already being pretty critical on the army. He will actually clean up a lot of Dia's army on the top right, though, and an EMP on the left gets rid of those High Templar as well. Oh my god, Dia running through tank fire. Suddenly INnoVation does find a hell of a fight now. One more storm dropping down. This has become disastrous for Dia, who now has no storms left. There's still EMPs available on the Ghost, and INnoVation is going to crush through this army with what was basically his last chance. Again, some more EMPs available. Looks like he doesn't want to use them on what is already a very one-sided affair. He is losing some of his siege tanks here to the Zealots that just push forwards. Can Dia rebuild enough to save the day, basically? Down 60 army supply suddenly. This was INnoVation's one last chance, and INnoVation absolutely just picked him apart. Dia with just one mistake, which then suddenly he panics, and the next mistake becomes very apparent. I mean, this Robo is going to go down. Pylons are going to be a big target here as well. Shut down a lot of this production. Well, INnoVation obviously rallying up the map at the same time. There are High Templars here with Storm Energy available. There's quite a few of them actually. There's even a Warp Prism looking to bring a few of them into the main base. Immediately coming forwards, and the Storms will drop down. A couple on the tanks, but they're pretty much all cleaned out, and I don't think it's done enough. Meanwhile, the reinforcements of Inno, though, will have to back away. Too many Zealots there to really attack into. Again, Dia, his production down to just 5 gateways. It's not a lot to work with, and Dia is going to type out GG. Damn. What a way for this to turn around. You don't engage with half of your army into sieged up tanks and then walk your other half of the army through sieged up tanks without killing any of them. You know, that was just absolutely disastrous for Dia, the engagements. I don't think the way he approached the game was bad at all. He could absolutely deal with what INnoVation had. He had done in previous fights. Just really messed up the engagements towards the end there. It was really brutal. Top left-hand side, our Red Terran, again, just squeezing out victory in game number 1. Our Red Terran INnoVation looking to make it a TvT in the semi-final here against Cure. That will be taking place tomorrow. Is it Tuesday tomorrow? That'll be taking place tomorrow. Bottom right-hand side, our blue Protoss player from Newbie. We have Dia, who has to be a bit frustrated with the position he got himself into in that last game. And then the position he was able to lose from. Again, it was a very powerful position, so hopefully you can do the same again, though. At least you can look at it in that way, right? Like, hey, you know what? I can, I can get myself in a good position, so let's just not mess up this time around. Again, what's up, everybody? How are we all doing today? Hope you guys are all doing well. Let's join us here on the stream for some Masters Coliseum action. We're going to be covering the other round of 8 matches as well today, ahead of tomorrow's semi-finals. So, again, they were played yesterday, but we are going to cast them in English for you guys because there was no English coverage yesterday, only Chinese coverage. So we'll be doing that after this series. We'll be doing probably, I think, Solo versus Stats first, and then Su versus Hero. I think Solo Stats was just the order they were played in yesterday, basically. Which was not quite the order which was advertised originally, but anyways. Getting set to go. Command center dropping down, so getting that ready to go as the SCV is scouting, having a look to see the fact there is indeed a Nexus up. Probe over here, looking to do something similar. Just, okay, yeah, maybe be a bit more annoying again. INnoVation once more bypasses that Reaper as the Marines just catch the probe. So the probe goes down. There's the, again, sentry coming up in the main base. Is INnoVation still in Team Reciprocity and Team Rec? Yes. For the moment he is. I'm very intrigued as to what turns out to happen for him when it comes to the China Team Championship, because a lot of people... just because a lot of people were kind of speculating that he's been picked up by one of the Chinese teams. It'll be very interesting to see how that does turn out in the end. Adept moving up towards the upper left-hand side is once again going to find itself in the midst of Marines. Well, these few Marines were actually a bit too far forward, so maybe the Adept this time will be able to survive. INnoVation with Widow Mine setting up, so no Hellions. He's actually just going to continue Marine production this time around, so doing things a little bit differently to what we saw before. Montian with the 10 sub-bomb. There's some hype in the chat. Monty with the $100 donation yesterday as well. Man doesn't stop. Can you get some love in the chat, please, for Monty and guys? Dropping the gifted subs to Kitty Lynn for 2 months. Welcome back. Masterbomb 44. Legan SC. Royal Zerg. HJP Alpha. Evil Poop. HJP Alpha for the 2 months, by the way. MP. Sune. Dark Thunder 312. And also Maras SE2 for 8 months on that resub. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Actually, a lot of familiar names in the list right there. So thank you so much, Monty. Get some love in the chat. Thank you so much for the 10 sub bomb. Much appreciated. Robo Bay is on the way up in this main base. Again, these couple of Marines, well, a Marine moving out through the center. The few Widow Mines in this medevac as well, coming out over to the right side. So, again, set to go. Third Nexus drops in from Dia. INnoVation going into Raven this game. He didn't Raven last game, right? It was Zest versus Q that had a Raven on Kairos Junction, yes. Now, that was actually crazy, by the way. I didn't mention it. We mentioned the Raven got feedback, but like, Q still won the fight. Just won with that push when his Raven got feedback after doing nothing. That was actually insane. But yes, Raven coming up here from INnoVation. We'll see how Dia tries to approach that, because with Colossus on the way, what actually happened, so it was actually INnoVation stats I first saw this happen, where one of the best ways to kind of deal with this Raven push was to build a Templar Archives for just one High Templar. So just one High Templar that allows you to, one High Templar just allows you to feedback the Raven. And it's actually so useful, because obviously then you're able to completely, you can completely change things up at that point. As you see the medevac boosting down at the bottom, a few Widow Mines unloading, and these probes actually going somewhat unnoticed on the mining, don't move away at all, so these Widow Mines actually doing pretty good. 4 probes and getting out of there completely alive. No damage taken at all. So INno just getting some damage dealt. Does with hallucination in the main base. He is building a 4th and 5th racks, by the way, INnoVation. He does have his 3rd CC set to go, I guess, so sorry, I didn't notice the 3rd command center. The 4th and 5th racks is just pretty regular then at this point. War Prism. Heading up towards the upper side of the map. With a Colossus inside. Not every day you see kind of a Colossus harassment. And Widow Mines coming back in. Terrible observing by me. Misses all 8 probes going down. 2 of the Widow Mines killed off as well, but again, 8 probes is nice damage. Yeah, this Colossus doing okay to begin with. War Prism, if that gets Interference Matrix and the Colossus isn't in it, by the way, the Colossus is just trapped. So you have to be super scary. You have to be super careful about it. Obviously, I think Dia would be watching for that Interference Matrix and looking to lift up the Colossus the second he sees it popping out, so you can just lift it up and, once it's in there, it's safe. It can't drop down again either, sure, but at least the Colossus isn't trapped outside of the prism at that point. Interference Matrix is the Colossus. Yeah. Again, the War Prism is the real play, because then the Colossus gets trapped and the Colossus dies. Well, INnoVation finds himself again up on 3 bases without much of a push so far. He is going to start going across the map now. So he has 3 tanks. I mean, his Colossus is still over here dealing damage, though. He sends his 2 Vikings to deal with it. Actually, a pretty good way to deal with it, because there's nothing else here to really protect. There's a few units going to pop in as well. He's going to again go for the War Prism initially. And actually, that War Prism is in some trouble. It's in so much dead airspace. That's a dead Colossus. So it does go down. INnoVation now Doesn't have to worry about that being recalled into the army, so it's one glass Colossus to deal with here. Army of INnoVation pressing down towards the bottom side. 2-2 upgrades on the way up. Also, Templar Archive is being built. Here we go. A couple of interference. Matrix has dropped down. The Sentries somewhat desperately throwing force fields here. They do a very good job of delaying the bio pressing forwards. One Colossus maybe should fall. Without a Warp Prism, it's actually very frustrating because with no Warp Prism, you can't save those Colossus. Man, actually very good job by Dia to keep his Colossus alive throughout this. The Vikings will claim one of them. It's super low, and that one extra shot will get the job done. Very good job by Dia to maintain so many of the units there when he was seemingly caught out on the map. The Raven did go down, so it's not going to be coming into play again. It's only 2 Vikings, so it's not a lot to keep fighting the Colossus. But if the tanks can target fire Colossus, that can go very well as well. And INnoVation is really looking to cut off this position between the natural and the third base. And those Vikings coming in to do what they can. A couple of shots when possible. Actually, Dia going to be supply blocked from losing pylons at the front. That's really bad. Now he can't reinforce for quite a while here, actually. He only has 1 pylon building, so he's going to be supply blocked for a real long time. But the Stalker's blinking on those tanks on the top side. He's going to get rid of those. INnoVation's now going to just stim for the natural and do what he can over here in the meantime. He only gets a couple of probes and a cannon, a couple of gateway units as well. As the Stalkers blink in, it's one empty medevac that goes down, and not much else. Dia survives, Dia holds on. Very cool. I mean, the Stalkers blinking on those tanks save the day, because otherwise those Colossus probably go down so fast. INnoVation didn't target fire with them onto the tanks, onto the Colossus, as I thought he was going to be very cautious to do. So he didn't go for that. Oh my god, these Stalkers are going to blink. That medevac needs to boost ASAP. It's so low. Stalkers didn't blink for it. There's a medevac with units inside as well. Oh, now he blinks in, but into siege tanks and bio. Misplayed by Dia, and actually INnoVation, for a moment I thought might have been able to jump on a Colossus as well, but he's happy just to sit and pick up those Stalkers. Again, INnoVation with a nice little snipe down there into a 4th command center. Warp Prism with, again, this Colossus harassment. Well, missile turrets here means that even if the Warp Prism doesn't take damage, the Colossus will take damage too. Missile turret's very good to fight against those Colossus. And we do have the Protoss army of Dia coming out through the center of the map. Again, a Marine, a couple of medevacs. Actually, SCVs want to heal these medevacs. Not sure why they were so committed to chasing that Marine down. Yeah, all said and done, INnoVation. His army looks kind of scary at the moment, but again, you got to respect those Colossus that Dia has. And he's about to have Storm as well, so with Storm in play, it's that extra wave of splash damage that does a lot as Zealot in the center of the map goes down. It is 2-2 upgrades against just +1 armor at the moment. Storm just finishes in time for this push. INnoVation probably would have been better off just pushing forward through that at Storm there, because he was already kind of halfway through it when he started to pull back. And these Colossus are kind of just out on their own. 2 more High Templar coming in. Problem is the bio is battered and bruised from the storms, and so it does slow INnoVation down from continuing to press forwards. This Hero Marine on the left side comes in to kill a Zealot. INnoVation with quite a spread of units. This is why Dia doesn't expand this forward position. Instead, expanding backwards again makes it tougher for the siege tanks to get damage done here. Warp Prism is full, so it can't lift up the first Colossus that was being targeted on the left-hand side. The High Templars do drop down, and they morph into an Archon now. A lot of these Zealots starting to die off. If these last few Zealots go down, I tell you what, this army could be very exposed for Dia. INnoVation is going to keep on pressing through another round of Zealots to try and save the day. The tank in the background, I think, is not going to siege up because he just knows he's going to get overrun. And that tank is not going to be savable if he sieges it. So, he chooses to back off here. The Zealots are actually just the critical units at the moment because there's not a lot that deals very effectively with Zealots. And a lot of Marauders in the army rather than Marines means that you just don't have a lot of damage output for Zealots. So, these tanks not siege just yet. Dia is getting very adventurous coming this far forwards. No Warp Prism either, so he doesn't have the micro potential to save units. He doesn't have the Warp in to support those units. 4 medevacs then to the far bottom side as Dia coming around the right. 2 Colossus, Stalkers, and Archon. And Warp Prism with a couple of High Templar and are trying to drop again. Dia's just been so aggressive with his high-tech units that, you know, then aren't at home to defend. This drop from INnoVation looks as though it's just going to hang out for a moment. He scans and sees a bit of an army moving around. There's actually not much over here, though, so Dia is maybe just going to lose the 4th base. There's a lot of units, so INnoVation comes straight in. The Nexus is going to fall. I don't think there's anything you can do about that. The medevacs are low on energy, so you can't even feedback them to be killed. Ghost Academy setting up here from INnoVation in the natural expansion. Some Zealots running in, and they are going to be able to do some good damage as well. Warp Prism getting pushed away to the side here. The Archon gets picked off also. A very good job, well done. There's 2 more Ghosts on the way up in the main base, and again, this army of deer comes through, picks up a Marine off over to the side. Nexus dropping down on the bottom. 3 medevacs actually going to be found here by a few Stalkers. And actually just dropping on top of those Stalkers. It's guaranteeing some kills. These probes already mining here. Templar's morph into an Archon. Again, INnoVation's just happy to probably cancel the base at this point. He's pushing the right side at the same time, and he already picks up a Colossus kill over there. Again, Deer just being that little bit distracted is hurting him a little bit now. Because, well, this army is... I just don't think he's got the army to fight anyways. Oh my god, loses High Templars as well to the siege tanks as they press forward. This Archon also goes down. This drop is finally going to be dealt with by the last few Zealots here eventually, but man, this is painful. A Disruptor will line up a shot, will not get far enough forwards though. And Disruptor from the high ground looked more hopeful, but doesn't work out. I like the idea of the Disruptors. It's definitely a better way to help deal with the tanks as well, helps push the bio back, but he's just not getting in range to really utilize these. Nice feedbacks and kills on those Ghosts. INnoVation just goes up the ramp. He's going to chase the Disruptors down. He just needs to target that last one. Okay, he actually just plays the lift-up game. And he'll now start to unload his other units on top of this army. And INnoVation is just toying with Deer at this point. I mean, not really toying. He's literally trying to kill him. But he's showing no respect for Deer. He's just moving into any sort of position. He's just attacking wherever. He even drops down the Mule. And Deer is going to be jumping out of this game. INnoVation goes up in the top right-hand side. Up to 0 on match point. Let's see if he can close it out. Our blue Terran is INnoVation. Up against the red Protoss player to the bottom left side of the map, we have got ourselves Deer. Alrighty, so getting this set to go. Deer is going to start to change things up a little bit. A pylon on the bottom right-hand side of the map. Let's see, it could be a Stargate pretty quickly. It's a pretty close location, then jump up into the main base or so. River building, going to be finishing in a moment or two. CC on the natural. Mule is going to drop down, and again, SCV's mining away here. Mule adding to it as well. As we do have the bunker on the front of the natural. So bunker coming down on the nat. Reaper from INnoVation coming over to the right-hand side. Stargate on the way up then, as mentioned, and obviously, has been pretty careful with his scan, but does he go all the way down to this corner? No, he just checks he's going to check this little area as well, but yeah, he doesn't quite go far enough to see, and he did see with the SCV, though, the lack of an expansion. He did see the single pylon, so you gotta know something is up. Bunker at the front again to be safe, but there isn't really much to defend against a Stargate at the moment. Factory on the way is probably going to be what he resorts to, but yeah, really nothing super early on here. Yeah, the first game he's built a Reaper as well, and very unfortunate that he hasn't found the Stargate yet. Oracle is on the way up. I mean, Factory just has to go either straight into a Tech Lab and a Cyclone, or maybe just a Widowmine, but actually, he just doesn't have anything to defend. It's going to be the Tech Lab and the Cyclone. There is 2 Marines out right now. The Oracle is about to finish. Reaper of INnoVation will get up into the main. We'll get to see the Twilight Council follow up at least. So you'll get to see this at the very least so far, as Probe will go down. Again, Oracle is about to arrive. And yeah, when he sees that Tech Lab on the Factory, he'll know, well, there's no Widowmine out just yet. So he's just going to be able to go straight into the mineral line. No fear at all. And this is going to be INnoVation. Well, pulls his SCVs away. Starport halted in production, though. And the Cyclone on the way up. But this Oracle is going to be out of energy. The only thing that's going to stop it from killing these SCVs. Still has Pulsar Beam active for a moment or so. The couple Marines trying to fight it off. 7 SCVs lost. A lot of early game damage taken here for INnoVation. Puts him into a bit of a weaker spot now, as, you know, Yeah, this is actually very interesting. Of course, Deer doesn't build a second Oracle. He invested into that Twilight Council. So he's going to have a very fast Blink. So even as a follow-up here, you know, if INnoVation gets aggressive, he's probably going to be attacking into Blink. And that does a lot for the Protoss player when it comes to being able to defend. 2 more Marines on the way up. Then Magfield Accelerator is starting on that factory. So again, that's set up and ready to go. The 2 gateways in the main base. The Oracle coming through. Marines will shoot it down. So Marines able to shoot that Oracle down out the skies. This Liberator, man, is such a troll. So often I look at it, I'm like, wait, there's a Liberator? Yeah. I actually, you know, it didn't bother me for a long time, and then it's just the other day I saw it, I was like, wait a second, I was like, no. And now I keep seeing it, I'm like, wait and I'm like, no. There is no Liberator. It doesn't matter, because this is the Terran base anyways. Cyclones trying to be aggressive through the center, but you're very limited in what you can achieve with these Cyclones, and trying to push through the slow zones feels like, well, just feels like danger, right? I mean, he gets to the other side now, but he's playing a dangerous game because Blink is on the way up, and I think INnoVation probably knows that as well, so he can't stick around forever, and it does seem like he's going to respond to that. Pull him back up to the upper right-hand side. Quite a lot of Stalkers, though. The bunker from earlier in the game, salvaged for minerals. And INnoVation just building up into a second siege tank already. And the third one as well. No extra barracks just yet, and I do wonder, is there some sort of potential aggression from INnoVation here? Which just involves kind of a, you know, perhaps going in towards just a very aggressive, like, Marine tank push. Second tank on the high ground, protecting the main, but also kind of hides it away from the Stalkers if they only push on the natural. So that's also some pretty good info there. I'll charge on the way as well. Dia just transitioning very naturally through to the next stage of his build, but I mean, INnoVation building a tech lab on the starboard, I think Banshees, and just go, but the Banshees are so late to add into play. He does start a third CC, however, man, but there has to be some kind of a push. This isn't going to be Cloak on the Banshees either. He's going to unsiege the tanks. He cancels the Banshee, makes a Liberator, which I think is, at this lateness, you know, at this stage of pushing, is probably a much better choice. First Stalkers do have blinks, they can get away, but actually doesn't blink out of Cyclone lock on range, so Cyclones will get a couple kills, and the Stalkers going to the right side here. It's actually very good for INnoVation because it means that they're not going to be able to slow them down pushing across the map. This is a really good siege on the tanks though, by the way. I mean, being able to siege those up, predicting those Stalkers were potentially going to come back in. Good micro on the tanks as well, and man, he's losing a lot of Stalkers here. It doesn't bode well considering the follow-up that we're likely to see from INnoVation, which is, you know, very aggressive pushing across this map. How is Dia going to survive if he has no units? Well, some SCVs do get through. Obviously, bunkers are very potent here on Turbo Cruise. Again, it's that no high ground into the natural, so you can just bunker up across the front. And that's why Dia's probably already just positioning right out the front here with his first few units. He is just going to fight this. INnoVation doesn't even siege up his tanks, though. No respect for this army at all. I mean, does there need to be? The Zealots don't have charge for another 10 seconds, so the first wave of Zealots won't do much either. This Liberator took a lot of damage on the way in. It will be targeted, but even just the target fire on this is very painful. 20 probes going down, and INnoVation picking up Stalkers. Zealots now with charge, but the tanks will still just not siege because, again, it's just single target damage that's needed. Now they'll siege up, and maybe against these Stalkers it'll be a better idea. Whoa, the Stalkers blink right on top of them. INnoVation with another tank about to arrive. His Marines are doing very well because obviously the Stalkers are only target firing down the tanks. SCV saved that tank for a few extra moments. INnoVation's army supply is dropping, but at this point with the probes he killed, he's already in a great spot. 53 SCVs to 36 workers. The only thing is, I guess, he doesn't have a Stimpack upgrade or anything, right? So his continued bioplay is maybe perhaps a little weaker than you'd like it to be. He has got those extra units, or the extra barracks up now. He's making more than just 2 Marines at a time. Now building 2 tech labs on them, so it looks as though Stim and Combat Shields will be on the way off of an 18-worker lead. INnoVation may just be good to close this out, guys. He may just be good to make this work, honestly, at this stage. And I was going to be seeing the units all gathering back up between the bases. Third orbital lands down. Probably see some mules dropping out of this here very shortly. Combat Shield, Stimpack, all on the way up. There go those mules. And yes, another tank gets sieged up. We have a good setup for INnoVation here as, again, those couple Stalkers coming forwards from Dia as He wants to try and see what he can do. Pressing in, and one Stalker gets blown up pretty much right away. Those two barracks dropping down here out on the third base, and just going to be seeing the Templar Archives building up as well right now. So Dia getting that Templar Archives up and running. As more and more probes come through, Robo Facility will drop down on the third base as well. So Army of Dia pressing up the right-hand side. Stalker setting up over to the corner, and a couple of probes go down to liberate the main. I mean, Dia cannot afford to take workers damage right now, so this is really nice from INnoVation. Now, Stim and Combat Shields finishes up. This is going to be a really difficult push for Dia to stop. He is going to start Storm, but considering the positions INnoVation has been able to win for in the previous games, I mean, this is absolutely the largest lead he's had going into the middle stages here, so I think INnoVation absolutely looking good to just close this out as Marines, tanks, they are already gathering up here out on this third base. There goes a bit of a salvage again. The Marines and the tanks going to start moving their way over to the right-hand side, coming down to the south. Storm on the way up as mentioned before, but I mean, Storm might not even be done for this fight. It might happen like as the fight's going on. INnoVation is even going to pull the boys. He knows he's in such a good position. He's been waiting for nothing more than just a couple bio upgrades to come across the map, and well, scans the army. The High Templars don't have Storm just yet. INnoVation is going to be setting up the tanks. I mean, at the very least, the third base is going down, right? So already disastrous for Dia. As I know, will. Oh, he's going to catch the War Prism with the High Templar inside, and that's just even more of a GG. Dia gets crushed in this series as INnoVation finds the 3 games in a row, and really does just look like, I think, like the better player here in this series. So I don't think there was anything really